Hi everyone, and welcome to IELTS with Ben. Today we're going to be looking at true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given questions in the IELTS reading section. My name is Ben Prince, and I'm a Cambridge qualified IELTS teacher. In this video, we'll look at what is the true, false, not given question type, true, false, not given, and yes, no, not given. What is the difference? We'll do some example questions and how to answer them. And then I'm going to give you my top tips for these types of questions. So, what is it? This question type requires you to identify information. The question gives you a statement. You then need to find information in the text that agrees with the statement, disagrees or contradicts the statement, or that the information in the text neither agrees or disagrees with the statement. We have two question types. True, false, or not given. Look for information that agrees or contradicts a statement or identifying that the information is not there. The difference with yes, no, or not given is that you're looking for information that agrees or disagrees with the writer's opinion or the opinion of somebody mentioned in the text, or identifying that the information is not there. So let's look at an example of a true, false, not given question. Here we have the section of text where we're going to find the answer. Marie Curie is probably the most famous woman scientist who has ever lived. Born Maria Sklodowska in Poland in 1867, she is famous for her work on radioactivity and was twice a winner of the Nobel Prize. With her husband, Pierre Curie, and Henri Becquerel, she was awarded the 1903 Nobel Prize for Physics, and was the sole winner of the 1911 Nobel Prize for Chemistry. She was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. So let's look at the question. And for the question we have this statement. Marie Curie's husband was a joint winner of Marie's Nobel Prizes. Let's look at the key words in this statement. Husband, joint winner, Nobel Prizes. So what we're going to do now is quickly scan the text looking for a key word. We're going to use the keyword Nobel Prizes or Nobel Prize. If we look quickly through the text, we can see it here, Nobel Prize. Here we see another keyword, with her husband. So we got the keywords from the statement, Nobel Prize and husband. And here the text says, with her husband, Pierre Curie and Henri Becquerel, she was awarded the 1903 Nobel Prize. So we know that her husband was a joint winner of the 1903 Nobel Prize with Marie Curie. But as we read on, we find this statement, and was then the sole winner of the 1911 Nobel Prize for Chemistry. So we know Marie Curie won the 1911 Nobel Prize for Chemistry. Her husband was a joint winner of the 1903 Nobel Prize for Physics. And as the statement says, Marie Curie's husband was the joint winner of both Marie's Nobel Prizes. We know the statement is false. He was a joint winner on the Prize for Physics in 1903, but Marie Curie won the 1911 Chemistry Prize on her own, by herself. So the answer is false. Okay, now let's look at an example yes-no not given question. Here's our section of text. Unknowingly, coral reefs, touted to be the tropical rainforest of the sea, attract a diverse array of organisms in the ocean. They provide a source of food and shelter for a large variety of species, including fish, shellfish, fungi, sponges, sea anemones, sea urchins, turtles, and snails. A single reef can support as many as 3,000 species of marine life. As fishing grounds, they are thought to be 10 to 100 times more productive per unit area as the open sea. In the Philippines, an estimated 10 to 15% of the total fisheries come from coral reefs. Now let's look at the question. And we have this statement. Coral reefs make better fishing areas than the open sea. Let's look at the key words in this statement. Better fishing areas. So we're going to be scanning the text, looking for the word fishing. As we look through the text, we can see it here. Fishing. Let's read the whole sentence. As fishing grounds, they are thought to be 10 to 100 times more productive per unit area as the open sea. So in other words, coral reefs produce a lot more fish than the open sea. So they are better fishing areas. So the answer, coral reefs make better fishing areas than the open sea, is yes. Okay, so let's move on to a question where the answer will be not given. Look at this line of text. Chilies originate in South America and have been eaten for at least 9,500 years. Now, if the question is chilies come from South America, we know that's true. Originate means come from. Chilies originate in South America. The statement is true. But consider this statement, this question. South Americans were the first people to start eating chilies. The text does not specifically say yes or no. We know that they originate from South America. We know they've been eaten for 9,500 years. But to say that the South Americans were the first people to eat chilies would be making an assumption. Don't make assumptions. The text does not specifically say that South Americans were the first people to eat chilies. We know that's where they come from, where they originate, but it doesn't mention anything about South Americans eating chilies. So therefore, the answer here is not given. Don't make assumptions. Don't use your own knowledge of the subject. You can only go on what's in a text, and the text doesn't say that. It doesn't say that they were, it doesn't say that they weren't. So therefore, the answer here is not given. Okay, so now let's look at the top tips for answering true, false, or yes, no, not given questions. Tip number 1. Read the statement. Read it carefully and make sure that you understand it. Understand the vocabulary. Tip number 2. Don't match keywords, match meaning. We use the keywords to find the passage in the text, but we need to understand the meaning of the passage and match it to the meaning of the question. Tip number 3. Paraphrases. A paraphrase is saying something with the same meaning but in a different way. Often the statement will be a paraphrase of the text. When you read the statement, think of possible paraphrases. Tip number 4. Look for common traps. For example, some does not equal all. Some is not the same as most. Few is not the same as none. Often doesn't mean the same as sometimes. Tip number 5. The questions and answers are in order. The questions and answers are in the same order. So the answer for question 1 will appear first in the text and question 2 after, and so on. The answer to question 2 will be after the answer to question 1 in the text and before the answer to question 3. This means it is useful to always be aware of the next question, not just the question you're working on. Tip number 6. Write the answer correctly. So, for example, if it's a true-false question and you think the answer is true, don't write yes, write true. It's a true-false question. So the answer has to be true, false, or not given, not yes or no. Tip number 7. Use only the information in the text. Don't make assumptions and don't use your own knowledge. Remember the question we just looked at, where the answer was not given. From the text, chilies originate in South America and have been eaten for at least 9,500 years. The question, the statement was, South Americans were the first people to start eating chilies. It's very easy to assume that because chilies came from South America, that South Americans were the first people to eat chilies. If you make that assumption, you are probably right in the real world. But this information is not in the text. It doesn't specifically say. So the answer is not given. Don't make assumptions. Use only the information given in the text. Well, that's how to understand and answer true, false, or yes, no, not given questions. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. But most of all, good luck. I do hope you get the score you need to achieve your dreams.